Hey everybody, welcome to the channel, glad to have you here. Today we have another 2v2 with Pharaoh War. This time I am playing the Wood Elves and he is playing the Greenskins, and so we're kind of having a joint army here. And we are facing off against two Vampire Counts, Mousillon and the Vampire Counts. So you can see here, our conjoined force. I have Eternal Guard is kind of like the back line and the flanks. He's got a core of black orcs here, heavily chevroned up. And we've also got like a just devastating goon squad here in the form of the giant Tree Man, Orion, and Grimgor Ironhide. So really devastating little ball here that the Vampire Counts are going to have a really hard time dealing with. You can see behind them we have 4 Glade Guard with Starfire Shafts. We were really thinking that they'd be bringing ethereal units, so here's our magic damage core. And they are pretty good at dealing with Graveguard. In the back I do have a Spellslinger of Life who will be healing this blob, so making Grimgor very, very dangerous here by combining the Greenskins and the Lore of Life. In the back we do have 1 unit of War Dancers with Azrai Spears, and I wanted these guys so they could kind of run down Blood Knights. There we go. I do have 1 unit of Wild Riders, and the game is paused because, of course, our forward deployed Morgrub's Mangy Marauders have deployed right on top of the Vampire Count's Dire Pack, or just regular Dire Wolves. Yeah, Dire Wolves. And they do have a bit of like an ambush, like cavalry spread out across the entire map. They have the Dire Pack over here. They've got just War Hounds. They've got Black Knights and Blood Knights. Over here, they do have more Dire Pack, so tons of mobility there. And over here, they've got 2 Blood Knights, and so that's 3 Blood Knights and a Black Knight, and then 3 units of War Hounds. So we're definitely going to have to protect our ranged units in this battle. You can see this vampire player here brought a huge line of, or just 3 Graveguard, one of which is the Stearnsman, 2 Skeleton Warriors, and then a back line of 3 Skeleton Spearmen, with some Crypt Horrors for armor-piercing damage, and then Vlad von Karstein. Over on the Mousillon player, you can see very similar, a main core line of 3 Graveguard and the Stearnsman, 2 Crypt Horrors, 2 Skeleton Spearmen, and the Königstein Stalkers. So definitely a cool unit. And Vanguard deployed way back here, waiting in ambush, are the Feasters in the Dark. So I love this pick. They're going to be popping out at an inopportune time in the battle to strike out at us. So over here you can see it gets started very quick. Pharaoh was obviously really on top of these guys, ready to micro them, but they are going to get stuck on these direwolves, and they're going to do a ton of damage here as the other ones run away. And my stags are going to be running around trying to just keep up with them, prevent these guys from dying entirely, because we need these guys to force the Vampire Counts across this marsh. And we have really only small units, so if we fought in this marsh and all of our units got minus 80% attack damage, or weapon strength, or melee attack, or whatever it is, it would just be devastating. We'd have no chance of winning against the Blood Knights and the Crypt Horrors and all the terrifying monsters of the Vampire Counts. So we've deployed way back here, and we're hoping that they'll come kind of meet us over in this area. And you can see here, just these Dire Pack really trying to get at him. You can see these ones running. These ones came from over here, try and sandwich him, but we barely got out of there. You can see the Mangy Marauders, though, took a ton of damage. Shooting through the trees, definitely not a good idea. You can see these Dire Pack and Dire Wolves running around the side. Blood Knights also posturing up. And so there is a ton of this kind of just back and forth in this battle. We're going to be trying to win this kind of extended skirmish phase, so that they'll come through here and engage us where we're strong. Because if we marched up here, the Vampire Counts would just slaughter us in the marsh and the shallow water. One thing we could do is kind of push up this side, But then we're so close to the line that the vampires could rout us pretty easily. And so that's not a decent prospect. You can see these guys still pushing around. Orc Boar Boy Biggins trying to bait a fight over here. You can see the Orc Shaman in support, ready with Foot of Gork. And now my Wild Riders have kind of taken up like an overwatch position. And I'm going to start, because I realize we're not going to be able to force them forward if we just have the Mangy Marauders. I'm going to have to go do some Orion cheese over here. So with his Hawk's Talon and his Hounds, I'm going to be kind of posturing up. You can see over here, I'm gonna try and get over here. Cast Hounds on the Hounds. Just a ton of damage you can see there on the Dire Pack. Surprising amounts of damage. My Wild Riders are gonna try and get in. There you can see a spear, got one of them. Almost crumbling these guys already as we just kind of posture up and decide what to do. And then we're gonna kind of go meet him in the middle over here to have our final engagement. He's going to have the trees to his advantage, but we're going to have a little bit more of wider ground here. You can see posturing up on the sides. Feasters in the dark still waiting, biding their time as I cast more Hounds of Orion over here on these skeleton warriors. See his Goblin Big Boss coming in. Orion's going to be tossing some spears at this guy. Just very extended skirmish phase here. Hawk's Talon is going to be dropped on these Sternsmen. Any damage I can get them regenerating now is less they can regenerate later. So you can see here we're kind of meeting in middle ground. These Mangy Marauders still doing some good damage. But now these Glade Guard with Starfire Shafts are going to tear into these Crypt Horrors. And with their fire damage, they're going to do an extra 20% damage or whatever. And really shut down these very expensive units that are going to do a ton of damage to the Graveguard, or to the Black Orcs. So they were my first priority. Here you can see Feasters in the Dark coming around, waiting for a good opportunity. My Spearmen protecting the flanks against these Skeleton Warriors. But you can see already zombies being summoned, so I kind of moved back my Archer line. Probably left these guys a bit too close in the initial engagement, but I'll soon be turning them on this next unit of Crypt Horrors. You can see the Crimson Killers here just tearing up the Graveguard with their AoE armor-piercing attacks. The Giants in here against the Crypt Horrors going to do pretty well. And you can see these Orc Biggins just kind of protecting the flank, waiting for this Blood Knight charge to happen. There you can see some shots against the Feasters in the Dark. But I didn't really recognize they were there. They were just on fire at will. You can see these how fast they drop the hit points on these Crypt Horrors. It was like 1 or 2 volleys there from those guys. Here you can see another Hound of Orion's coming down. Just trying to break this center, but Invocation of Nehek wisely dropped by our opponents. You can see this is just a terrifying prospect. All these troops here, and then this huge contingent of Blood Knights and Dire Pack. So we don't really have much over here. I've had to deploy a lot of my spears in the back to deal with these zombies and other such units. So I really don't have much to protect or to help this back line. I do have these Wild Riders though. So over here you can see dropping these Crypt Horrors now. So I'm just going around targeting them one by one, trying to get them down. Here, the Dire Pack are going to prevent our Biggins from getting a charge. These Hounds, these Wolves are going to come down on this guy. And this is exactly what we want. You can see here, ramping up. I do have some Eternal Guard with shields. But more importantly, we have Foot of Gork. Boom! Just like slaughtering that Dire Pack and the Black Knights with the lances. So doing a ton of good damage there. Over here, you can see the Blood Knights are swinging around, trying to find a gap. These Crypt Horrors are slowly going down, and so are these. But they still have 8 models, so they're doing some good damage. Zombies are being spawned. These War Dancers are trying to deal with them. And again, my Eternal Guard on this side are just holding. They're sort of winning, but not exactly. You can see the Orc Shaman over here still in line. And these Skeleton Spearmen are going to blob in here, and I'm not paying attention, so I'm gonna have to my Eternal Guard get caught up in those spearmen without a charge. Over here, I am firing at some of these Blood Knights. I'm trying to do any damage I can on these guys is great, and it is armor piercing damage, so they'll be doing decent against these guys. You can see they're dropping their health at almost half with just like a couple volleys, already dropping models. But now they do move into the forest, so it is going to be slightly less effective at this point. But they are really one of the biggest threats on the field, and one of the few things I still have the ability to fire at. But great move here. He pulls the Red Duke somehow through the lines. He pulls him through, and now he's just raising zombies all up in here. And I really don't have anything left. Everything I have is engaged. You can see Orion here in the middle. The Orc Boar Boy Biggins are over here. Fighting these and losing to these Blood Knights. My Eternal Guard are swamped by some skeleton spears. Here come a bunch of zombies. Here come the Red Duke. He's taken out the Life Singer, tossing her around. And there's really nothing. I got these Wild Riders. You can see these Mangy Marauders. Great play by Pharaoh here, stopping these Feasters in the Dark just for a second, allowing me to get a couple of volleys off with my bows, but more importantly, letting my Wild Riders and these Biggins catch up to try and deal with them. Over here you can see Vlad von Karstein just getting whomped on by this giant, and here you can see another Hawk's Talon being dropped. So doing a ton of damage to this super blobbed unit. Over here you can see my Glade Guard do get caught, and so I have to move them back again. But I really can't move these guys back. Nice charge here from the Orc Boar Boy Biggins. But they do have some support coming in. So if they can just survive long enough for these guys to get in, it's looking pretty good. You can see my Eternal Guard on this side losing. But our middle is definitely winning. These Blood Knights are in here, and I'm just trying to punish them as much as possible for dropping in here with my 2 remaining free archers. These guys are not doing too well. I'm not able to pull them out. You can see my Spellslinger of Life gets routed off the field, which, to be honest, is probably a good thing. But again, more zombies being dropped down, and there's nothing left. Vlad here does finally go down to the concentrated efforts of our Tree Man and Grimgore blob. So we are winning the center, but my back lines are being dissolved here by the vampires. See the Blood Knights trying to find a way around, and I'm still just kind of peppering them with my archers. They are charging into spearmen, so this is not the worst thing in the world for me. And there's not too many trees in the way here, so I'm going to get most of my shots in against these guys, which is really, really good. If we want to win this battle, we have to eliminate their sources of anti-large, which is primarily, at this point, their Blood Knights. Because we still have this very dangerous blob here in the middle. Crimson Killers, basically full health, and these Black Orcs have a ton of unit models, and I'll be dropping some heals on them soon. Again, more zombies coming in. I'm shooting these skeleton spearmen in the back. Grimgore is chasing after this Red Duke, getting some good. That was an amazing hit on him. With my last of my arrows, you can see still firing at these Blood Knights, because there's really nothing left to shoot at. I guess I could be shooting at these guys, but I don't know. I'm so blobbed here. There's so many zombies, it's hard to get a good shot in. Where's Orion? Orion's over here. He just got a regrowth from my Spellslinger of Life who came back. So I'll be tossing some spears and getting in there. You can see the Red Duke here, very low, so I'm going to be turning my shots onto him, trying to end him. But he is kind of dodging around. But any damage I can do on him, I don't want him coming back. I want these guys' leadership to crash really hard. And you can see these Sternsmen soon going to be crumbling. Invocation of Nehek was forced to be dropped on this guy. And now it's really just the Blood Knights. You can see my Tree Man here. Mismicroed. The Boar Biggins do block most of that charge, and now I'm going to be swiping at some of these Blood Knights with spears in close reserve. And this is just army losses at this point, with the Hounds of Orion and the archers firing in is just going to trigger army losses. There you can see the Red Duke being shut down by that Tree Man. Exhausted Tree Man, been fighting for a long time. And now it's just this zombie unit who's left. So very fun battle from the Vampire Counts. Definitely a lot of good tactics there. As I try and drop my final Earthblood. Pyrrhic victory against Royal Cabbage and Swan Knight. And you can see here these Wild Riders doing very well. 172 kills. These Glade Guard doing decent. Taking out those 4 units of Cryptors was huge for the battle. Really let those Black Orcs in the main line just crush through. You can see 200 kills here on Orion between all the Hounds and the Hawk's Talons, and then just slaughtering in the middle against some Skeleton Warriors. He managed to rack up a ton of kills. Tree Man's still very healthy with 100 kills. You can see these Eternal Guard kind of just did their job. They really just lost, but that was the whole point of them, was just to lose, so Pharaoh of War here could focus on his Black Orc court. And you can see his Black Orcs did amazing. 242 kills on this one, 200 on this guy, and then almost 100 on these two, but they were still very full health, so a lot more killing potential there. You can see this Orc Shaman. Between those foots of Gork, he got almost 160 kills. Devastating. Shutting down those Black Knights with Barding was huge. Grimgor Ironhide doing really well. The Giant getting a Chevron with 115. Definitely putting some damage in on Vlad, which was very important because he is tanky and he's very difficult to kill. You can see here, only deployed 379 troops because his force was so small and so elite. And so between us, only like 1,200 or something. If my math is correct. Let's look here at Royal Cabbage. You can see Cryptors shut down with 14 kills each. These Königstein Stalkers, I don't know what they were fighting, but they 0 kills there. And these Blood Knights, oh man, 5 kills on a Blood Knight is just so sad. They just like struggled to find a spot because I got to have so many cheap spears with the greenskin core that really the Blood Knights had nowhere to go because there was so much armor piercing damage and anti-large damage wherever they went, really. So managed to shut those down based on the 2 army comps. You can see these Dire Pack doing pretty good, racking up some kills, and the main line doing okay considering they were up against Black Orcs. And these Spearmen just mobbed in against other Spearmen, so don't expect too much there. And you can see this Red Duke, 5 kills. He was fighting against archers. I mean, he was kind of running around just dropping zombies everywhere. You can see these Königstein Stalkers almost made it into my archers, but did get shut down by that Wild Rider charge. You can see here Vlad shut down fighting the giant troops. And really, he has no chance in that fight because we had so much money invested in that core. We were just able to like come over there and just like stomp him. You can see these Sternsmen not doing very well against those Black Orcs. These are the Black Knights that got Foot of Gorked, and this is the Dire Pack as well got Foot of Gorked. And you can see these Cryptors just shut down by that Starfire Shaft business. You can see these Blood Knights are a little bit better. But again, they were just up against so many biggins and so many spears that it was just really hard for these guys to be cost effective. I would have liked to see a larger main line here, or at least that these 2 main lines would have engaged together because one of them kind of came in from the side while Swan Knight came straight at us. So, great game to my opponents and a great game to Pharaoh of War. We will be hopefully doing some more in the future. Anyways, thanks for watching. That's that.